So I just went through a run showing off this Viego build with the Swain's Raven Army, but I figured we'd jump into Swain's Raven Army itself and look at some other champions that this sort of combo can be good with. So the power here is that it drains 5 from the enemy nexus, and if you're Swain, you also refill your spell mana. So you start with full spell mana at the beginning of the game. When you play the champion, you fill your spell mana, not at the beginning of the game. So this is pretty decent. The main piece of this is the power that drains the 5 from their nexus at the start. This counts as damaging their nexus, so it triggers the plunder effects. So here we have plunder I cost 2 less, and we get that from the Scourge's stash, and Packed Powder I cost 2 less, and you get +1/+1 for each time you damage the enemy nexus, so total -4. You can use 2 of the Scourge's stash if you don't have Packed Powder, so this is a good way to just cheat out expensive champions early. Let's take a look at some different champion combos and things like that you can do with Swain's Raven Army. That will be good. This won't cover every champion that Swain's Raven Army is good on, but it'll get you a general idea of what to look for. So first of all, someone like Aatrox, another 6-cost champion, he would be good with this because with his Constellation, he is a unit that has a equipment, and from his 3-star, when an equipped ally strikes, you reduce the cost of a random card in hand by 2. So making sure that you have a big unit or decently large unit, a 5/5 on board on turn 1, and if you're using Packed Powder, he'd be a 6/6, and he has equipment. You can normally attack in with that. He also will have regeneration from his equipment that he has. So, and this has +1. So actually, he would, if you have Packed Powder, he'd drop as a 7/7. Otherwise, he'd be a 6/6. But being able to attack in with him, start getting cost reduction on the other stuff in your deck, and he'll regenerate, and then you can block with him. Pretty strong, good champion to use it on for similar reasons that it's good with Viego. Viego is able to, proc summoning mists off any ally dying, so that is also really good. A good combo would also be like Leona here. She has in her starting deck Ravoon as a 4-cost, so if you have her 5th star, so you start with 3 mana, then you can use a combo like this. So Swain's Raven Army, then either Scourge's Stash or Packed Powder. So you get the cost reduction, so she costs 3. Then that means you can drop her on turn 1, and then if you use Found Fortune, not Frowned Fortune, Found Fortune, there we go. This will get you Ravoon. Then you can wait to drop Ravoon until turn 2 if you want, or you can drop him on turn 1. But if you want to, maximize the daybreaks you're getting, you can drop him on turn 2 for 0 cost. And then you have, you're able to trigger daybreaks with every other card you play after that. So you can get a lot of daybreaks really quickly and make sure that you're, essentially leveling up Leona as fast as possible. So doesn't have to always be double plunder effects to reduce their cost to 2, 1, 0. You can also reduce them once and then use other effects to just get huge tempo swings, can be quite strong as well. So other champions that this can be really good on, if you look at like Evelyn, she can be very good with this. This way she has her level up effect. If you use both of them, you can, make her 0 cost. So you play her out for 0, and then you're most likely will have another creature in your hand that you can play out. It'll hit the husk that she spawns when you summon her. And so, yeah, when I'm summoned, summon a random husk, and then she levels up when that husk dies. So then you can start triggering her level up effect right away, which is when a champion levels up, you get allies everywhere, +2/+2. You can already start triggering this on turn 1. You can also, if you have, her mana flow gem, you could use just one of those, and then similarly, you could use like Found Fortune or some other relic that you like. You could use like the Siren's Call in order to make sure Evelyn is always in your starting hand, or the Beast Within. Other options, you can always substitute in some other relic in the 3rd slot and just use 2 if you have the extra mana gem for her. That's definitely a very viable option. You do have to get a 1-cost unit in that case, so your Warden's Prey, you would want that in your starting hand, or you'd want to draft a 1-cost unit or multiple. That would make it more consistent that you can level her up on turn 1 with that. So yeah, that's always a great option there. Other champions that sort of scale, we have like Vigar. He gives you extra power to your darkness everywhere each turn, so getting him on the board on turn 1, either with one of those, one packed powder or Scourge's Stash and the Swain Relic, really strong, or you can use 2, get him out for 0, get some other units out. I would personally recommend just using 1 packed powder or Scourge Stash and then leaving your other relic slot for another thing that's strong with him, or something like the Frozen Foundations, which can potentially get you multiple Vigars on board, can also be good. But starting his scaling on turn 1, really strong there. Yeah, plenty of other champions that this can be good with, especially like Ambessa. She also scales up on attacking and whatnot, so if you get her out on turn 1 and can start attacking in with her, getting multiple attacks, really strong to get her scaling quickly. Then there's, pretty much anyone that has scaling effects from the beginning of the game, or when other things happen, things like Twisted Fate. He has a lot of other really strong builds, but if you're just happen to have, Swain's Relic and you don't have a lot of other epic relics, really good for him. He scales off drawing, and so if you get him on the board in the very beginning of the game, you're drawing the most cards from there, and so it gives you the most chances to draw a bunch of cards, get him his level up, and get going from there. So also really strong from that. Lots of champions can benefit from this, even like Alawi. She benefits from, having the tentacles, and she helps spawn tentacles. So you can even just use the Swain Relic plus one of the Packed Powder Scourge Stash with her to get her out on turn 1, and then, have a slot for your last relic that you can use something else that'll give her a large bonus, and start scaling your tentacles really early on. Just look for pretty much any champion that has scaling effects or really benefits from being on the board early on, and you will find a lot of success. So yeah, highly recommend using that, especially alongside the Found Fortune Relic. It gets you a lot of tempo early on, and can be very strong. So anyway, just a quick coverage of that. Hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you have any other relics you would like me to do a bit deeper dive on. Thanks for watching.